because I'm going to say a lot of I'm going to try to say a lot of things in Ukrainian, but I know it's not going to work. So I'm going to say I'm here with Yuliia Khrystiuk.
Khrystiuk is.
But Yuliia is right.
Yuliia. It's like Julia, but with the Y. So.
Okay, Yuliia. Okay, got it.
Yes.
So I'm here with Yuliia and a very good and great Old Dominion player. And I'll just start. I like to start every interview like this. I just like people to explain to me what kind of, in your own words, what kind of player are you? Like if someone was to, after this, go and watch you play, what would they see from you? What would be your strengths, weaknesses, if you want to identify those? But what just kind of player are you?
I think I'm pretty technical, fast, outside winger or striker. I like to take players on and I have a good shot.
Okay, yeah. Got it. I'm gonna work our way to college, but I like to do everything in like a way of a timeline of a way. So I've done a lot of reading and research about you. So one, I want you to just speak to me about your upbringing in Vinnytsia. Vinnytsia. I'm sorry. I actually grew up next to a Ukrainian girl who was really good at soccer, so I like Ukrainian culture and people. But you guys have a very hard language. But
really, where'd you grow up?
Where I grew up down in Austin. It's a small town. It's a relatively big town in Austin. It's a town in Westchester, New York. So we're right outside New York City. My town has a really big. It's a really diverse place. A lot of Hispanic people. But I grew up next door to this Ukrainian girl who was actually very good at soccer as well. And her family. That's honestly where I learned to play soccer. I played soccer on the street with her and her dad, and her dad was really good, and she was really good. So I've always kind of seen their culture, seen their family in and out of their house. So it was nice to meet them. But yeah, I like Ukrainian culture. It's very nice, strong people. People are very confident and strong-minded. I like Ukrainian people. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of Ukrainian people upstate New York. That's where my friend lives, and she's Ukrainian. She moved with her family there, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. But speak to me about your upbringing in the Ukraine. I know it's Western Ukraine. Just how was it growing up? Soccer, family.
When I was little, soccer for girls wasn't really a big thing. So I lived in an apartment complex, and we had like this long hallway, and like just one time in December, some of my guy friends were like playing with a soccer ball, and that's kind of the first time I like touched a soccer ball, and we just like kicked the ball from one side to another. It was like my first experience with soccer, and then in the spring I just started playing outside with them, and I think I was about to turn 8. I was like 7, and I just played next to my apartments with the guys, and I had no clue there was a soccer team in my city, and I didn't really know much about women's soccer. Obviously, I knew about the U.S. national team, and I knew about like all of the like Japan national team at that time were like the best teams in the world, but I didn't really know about soccer in Ukraine, so I never really like wondered if there was a team or not. But then when I turned 10, it's like this whole time, those 2 years, I just played with my friends next to the house and stuff. And when I was 10, I was in 5th or 4th grade, I think. And it was pretty common back then for people to just come by at school at your lessons and kind of advertise like different clubs and like all that's going on in the city. So this one guy came by our school and just said that they are creating a first soccer team for girls in my city, and I was like, wow, that's just perfect. And I told my parents, and then when I was 10, I think it was at the end of the spring, I went to my first soccer practice, and I've played for this club since I was 10 until up to 17 when I moved to the US. So I played for like girls teams, obviously like under 12, under 14, and then when I turned 15, just because they started a club when I was like at that age, most of the girls were the same age. So then when we all were kind of 15, 16 years old, they decided to participate in a second division of Ukrainian Women's League. So I played with adults in adult league, which wasn't the best league in Ukraine, it was second best league. since I was 15, and the first year we did fine, and then the year after we were able to get the second place in the whole league and qualify for best division in Ukraine, which was probably a little better than our level at that time just because we all were like 16, 17 years old, but I still got to compete in that championship for 2 years and got a lot of experience. Yeah. And meanwhile, I played for like youth national teams. Um, yeah, but it was great. I think like just me playing with boys gave me a little head start with the girls that came to a club because I would go outside and play for like hours with them. So definitely
Yeah.
helped me.
No, I hear that for sure. And you almost basically touched on everything that I wanted to dive deeper into. So I
Sorry.
know, no, it's perfectly fine. So I know that team, I think, again, pronunciation, I think it's called EMC Podia or something.
Yeah,
Is
Padilla. It's good.
Podia? Yeah. And I know you played with them in there, obviously, as you said, in the second division of Ukraine. And basically you also touched on how obviously you said I'm guessing soccer wasn't as big or it wasn't the biggest thing in Ukraine or something that was
Mhm.
thought about a lot and was obviously you said the US national team and the Japan national team, those are the powerhouses. Is that what you kind of ended up seeing also while you're playing with boys around your neighborhood and stuff like that? Is that the stuff that kind of brought you into it? And how is the soccer culture in Ukraine? Is it a big thing? Is it a
Yeah, I mean, soccer is one of the biggest sports in Ukraine for sure, but it's mostly been only men's soccer since I was little, and I remember, and like almost everybody watches national team and biggest Ukrainian club. So I knew like I grew up seeing soccer on the TV just by my dad and my grandpa watching Ukrainian national team. So I knew obviously that soccer was huge. I just didn't really like hear about women's soccer at the time. I only like heard that OUS won another World Cup. I heard about Alex Morgan, like Abby Wambach and people like that, obviously. But yeah, I actually started watching men's soccer before like watching any of women's game. And the first game I ever watched on the TV was Liverpool against City, I think, on like 2012, and I saw Steven Gerrard scoring 2 goals, so he became my favorite player, and that's kind of been like a person that's inspired me to play in a way. So I will always follow Liverpool, and I wanted a jersey with number 8 since I was 10, and he was my biggest idol. So I think that definitely like pushed me to play. And then obviously once I got into a women's club in my city, our coach was like, "Hey, you should watch like Women's World Cup. You should watch Marta play. You should watch Alex Morgan and people like that." So that's how I got into women's soccer.
oh, that's nice. And yeah, you kind of grew up where I mean, you probably had Ukraine's most like not influential, but most known person. Shevchenko was like at that time around like early 2000s. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there was a Euros in 2012. It was actually in Ukraine and Poland. It was like shared, and
That's true.
Shevchenko was he was older already, but he was still a captain of the national team and he scored a few goals. So I definitely watched him play, and he was probably him and you probably don't know, but Yuhenko Plenko. He played for his biggest club. He played in Ukraine a lot, and he played for Sevilla in Spain.
Yeah,
So I just watched those two Ukrainian players, and yeah, I followed national team obviously because it was a big deal, and it is now as well.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. They've come a long way. Should that's Shevchenko. Zinchenko, great for Arsenal. It's a couple, and
Yeah.
Konoplyanka, is he Ukrainian, right?
Who?
Konoplyanka, I can't.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. You know, he's yeah. No, so they have a lot of good players now, and I do want to make that transition where you come to the US or figure out about the US, and almost before I get to, we obviously know you play at Old Dominion, which is a great program. What as you were going through those teams at Podia and the other teams you played at youth level, and now being at Old Dominion, what are the differences you can say maybe in the coaching level or even the way the game is played from the Ukraine to the US and things that you've seen? Because in a lot of countries like Germany and Spain, the game is taught differently, and then people come to the US and they get US coaches.
Yeah, I think the difference between like styles of play is like a huge difference, obviously, just because I think in Europe, like Ukraine as well as the rest of European countries, is more technical and slow-paced soccer. It's like more like controlling the ball, and just like slower pace with not as much pressure, um, without the ball. And I think in the US, you come here from Europe and just the speed of play is so much faster, and then you just don't have as much time on the ball as you're used to, just because pressing is a huge thing in America, and also like the soccer is very physical. So I think those were like the biggest changes for me. And the coaching style, I think I'm used to coaches being a little more like aggressive, or like would probably say a lot of comments that coaches in US wouldn't, just because how it's accepted. Yeah, but it's quite nice that here like coaches really think about stuff that they say, just because of like mental health and like actually taking care of players. I think in Europe is more common for coach to actually like make not so nice comments about you on the field. And it's not just in Ukraine, it's like I think in a lot of other European countries is that way. So there's definitely like those are probably the biggest differences. Obviously like the subs and stuff, like in college soccer there are back and forth subs and you get a break. I think that's like one of the reasons why the pace of the game is so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so I want to talk about this transition, or you coming to America and coming to Old Dominion, because how does that happen? How does that come to be? How do you find yourself from Ukraine and then 5,000 miles away to Southern America down in Norfolk?
Um, yeah, so as I said, I played for my club team and we made at that point I was 15 and we made it or I was 16 and we made it to the best division in Ukraine. And there was a I was going into 10th or 11th grade, which 11th grade is the last grade of high school in Ukraine, and I was kind of thinking that I either have to change a club just to develop as a player, or I'd have to leave the country and try to play in a different place. And my parents were always really big on education. They wanted me to, obviously, they knew that I wanted to, even if I didn't play soccer, I would want to work in sports, but they just wanted me to have education. And I think that was like this like a big factor for me, just because knowing that in America you have an opportunity to both play on a very high level and get education at the same time. So I've always thought about America as an option, but I didn't know where to start. And one day when I was in 10th grade, I saw like an article on the Ukrainian like association website where one of the national team players, Nicole Kozlova, she her and her family like created this program for Ukrainian girls to go to US and play soccer. Because her family moved to Canada when she was little, and then she went to Virginia Tech. She played soccer in Virginia Tech, so she decided to give this opportunity to other girls and kind of bring them through the process and like get in contact with coaches, and also like obviously like introduce how college soccer works and stuff. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for me, and I reached out to her family who like created this program. And from then I was just getting ready for all the English tests and getting myself fit enough to play in America. And then obviously her and her dad helped me to communicate with coaches from everywhere. Like really didn't know where I was going. I didn't know anything about the conferences. I didn't know what the differences were. I didn't really know much about location. It was like everything I knew about America was really from just movies or from like hearing from people. So another thing that was big, it was also during COVID, so I couldn't really just come and visit. So I had to make the decision just based on talking to coaches online and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I passed all my exams, and I created a highlight video, and then some of the coaches from schools reached out to me, and yeah, it was time to talk to coaches, but it was definitely like a big decision.
Yeah, no, and so obviously, yeah, as you were saying, I mean, it's hard because COVID's going on as you're trying to commit and you're on the other side of the world essentially. So obviously, I've seen that you said like Old Dominion, once you saw the way they played, how everything was run at the school, it was kind of a no-brainer. Everything went for you. What was it that you saw from their style of play, whether it be over videos, that really gave you that idea like this is the school for me?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to a few different schools, um, and just like I knew, obviously, like I knew that American soccer was very physical, and a lot of teams in the country play so direct, and that just wasn't at the time the style of play I was like used to. So just by talking to different coaches, like I was like doing making my decision based on that. And when I spoke to OG coaches, Angie Hind and Michelle Barr, they said that they're really trying to play actual soccer without as much direct play, long balls, and I thought that was perfect. And they also, at the time, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna play 3-5-2 or 4-3-3," and that's like we're trying to combine, keep the ball on the ground, and all that. So I thought that was perfect style of play for me. And they both are from Scotland, which is from Europe. So I thought just having European coaches would be also very helpful in my transition to America. And then obviously they talked a lot about ODU's culture, how girls are very close with each other, and that's what I had in my club team. So it was like very important for me as well. And I spoke to girls from ODU before committing, and it really sounded like they were all close and there was no like drama, and they actually cared for each other. So I thought that was another reason why I chose ODU. And obviously, lastly, I talked to some places from up north, and I talked to some places from Midwest, and Norfolk by Virginia Beach sounded a little nicer than those places. So I think location location also played a role in my decision. And yeah, I can't complain about summer in Virginia Beach. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say how is it being down by Virginia Beach? I mean, it's an entire culture and people travel down there so much for vacation. How is it being so close to Virginia Beach?
Yeah, I honestly love that. I grew up obviously in the middle of the country in Ukraine, but still would be like a 6 hour drive to like the closest city with the sea. And I always liked the beach a lot. I like going on vacation in the summer. So I thought that just being close to the ocean would be perfect, especially in the summers. Just because I spend so much time at school. It's really like always something to do here. And obviously, it took me maybe like a year or two to get used to heat, but I really feel like I adjusted well. And yeah, summer's never been boring here, so I can't complain.
Yeah. So speak to me about that. Your freshman year, you show up, you committed kind of without seeing anything, without signing, or you signed without seeing anything, and you're kind of unseen. You come in, there's 5 matches, you play in 5 matches, get an assist against Eastern Carolina, and then COVID hits, and you're kind of in this like weird lockdown area and weird kind of like you can interact fully. So how is that just like once you arrived, how was it being there?
Yeah, so I actually was originally supposed to come in 2020, but then COVID happened, and like my whole class was pushed to come in January.
Mm,
So then that's when NCAA had the season started in February like to April. So I actually came in January of 2021, and obviously it was a crazy turnaround for me. Like I mean I knew English, but I couldn't really speak English that well just because it was so fast, and just like thinking. Took me a minute, and as you said, it was COVID still. We had to COVID test once a week, every Monday at 6 a.m. and we weren't really allowed to hang out with each other. Even I only had my roommate um at the dorm, and we had to go to the locker room at certain times in groups, and like the dining hall was really the place where people would get sick, so we couldn't really do that as well. And yeah, I mean, I played my first game, I think it was like February, and I really was shocked just by how fast the game was. I felt like my head was spinning. So, yeah, and I played a few games, got one assist, as you said, and it was time for conference play. I think we played against Charlotte, and I started the game. And this in the beginning of the second half, I actually got injured, so and missed the rest of the season. So I really like my first season or like first semester really got cut short. But I think it was really good for me to come in this semester before the next class comes in, just because I had a chance to adjust and all that. But yeah, COVID wasn't really a fun time to be a college athlete. If you lived in dorms and you didn't really get to know anybody. Yeah, but I think it really gave me a chance to like get used to college soccer and just like college experience from like social and perspective, and obviously to school, combining school and soccer, which I didn't really have to do before, just because high school is not as hard. Yeah, so there was that.
That was tough. I'm glad. I just missed COVID. I showed up to school in 2021, so it was still a little weird. We still had to wear masks and stuff, but I don't think it was
Hmm.
how you guys were just fully locked in your dorms and like couldn't.
Yeah, at least, yeah, I'm happy I didn't like come in the fall of 2020, because that would have been crazy. They like really couldn't do much, and the whole summer, like spend the whole fall here, would have been tough for me. But yeah, spring was
Yeah.
very helpful, I think.
Yeah. So you end that 2021 year, and you play in conference, and I know you got that goal against Middle Tennessee in that semifinal, and that was a big goal. And then I want to speak on, we like a covering, and we really focus on the USL, and you go down to North Carolina and you join Asheville. Speak to me about how that came about after you scored that goal in the semifinals, and had that end to the year, and then you hear about this USL team and make your way down to North Carolina for the summers to play soccer down there.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the 2021 fall was my first actual season for ODU, and it was actually team's first ever conference championship, which was awesome. And I just felt like I really wanted to keep playing. Once the spring was over, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to continue playing. And I knew that back home the season was over, so it was during the break, and also it was the year after, like a couple months after the war started. So it was really like I really thought, like, tried to find ways to like keep playing and without going home. And I just heard from one of my teammates that her dad found her a team in North Carolina. She's gonna go there, live with a host family, and it's like perfect opportunity for us to stay fit and play games. It's like the season's like from May until July, which like all our break. And I was like, yeah, that sounds so fun. And I just asked her if I could come with. And in 2022, it was the first time I went down to North Carolina and played for Asheville City. And I mean, it was such a great experience. I really got to experience like club soccer in the US for the first time.
Mm. Yeah, no, and then obviously I was going to touch on that first Sun Belt championship. How was that? How did it feel? Did it feel like a kind of all the journey to Old Dominion, like it was really, you have something to finally hold on to and say like this was like really worth all the time it spent to get to this point.
Yeah, we changed conferences after season 2021 season, and we were like, okay, there's a lot of good teams, but we're going to try to do what we did the year before, which we won CUSA conference the year before.
Oh, so you won
Um,
CS. Oh, so the Sun Belt was a year after.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so the first one that you won was which one?
was in fall of 2021. I was CUSA
Oh,
conference.
okay. Got it. Well, okay, I didn't, that wouldn't
Yeah.
have missed me. Yeah. So how was
Yeah,
that
so
winning the first one in 2021 then?
it was my actual first like freshman season, and um the teams always, when I was committed, coaches always talked how they wanted to start winning, having winning seasons, and like win the conference to have a chance to play in NCAA. And I think the class that came in the fall of 2021, and obviously I came a semester before, but really didn't have that freshman year experience yet. We were like, okay, like that's our freshman year, let's make it the best one. And I think it was a good mix of like young players and then like older people just to work for that championship. And we had a brilliant non-conference season, and we won regular season. And then when it was time to conference tournament, it was like, okay, like we already done so well. Let's win the rest of those games. And I think it was like the most fun I've had the tournament, just because the game is every other day. And the first game we played was I don't even remember. I think UTSA or Middle Tennessee. We won, and then second game was a very stressful game. We were tying almost the whole game, and we had this corner that just the ball got played back to me, and I scored. It was my second goal, I think, for ODU, but I scored a crazy goal, and it was a game winning goal, which gave us a chance to go to tournament finals. And one of our captains scored a header in the final, and yeah, I just think it was like one of the best moments of my life, just because knowing that I came to America to the program that's never won the championship, and then we were able to do it my first year. It really felt so special. So yeah, and we got to go to NCAA tournament and play against number 2 ranked Duke. So that was
Wow.
really fun.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Yeah, that's actually amazing. Um, so then you move into that next year after that tremendous end to that year, and you guys change conference. You guys go to the Sun Belt. So then, how was it? You go through that Sun Belt year, and you play 21 matches. You start in 12, get 4 points in the season, and then you guys take home that Sun Belt championship as you guys change conferences. How did that entire season feel?
Yeah, I think for me individual, it wasn't the best season. I didn't feel like I was contributing as much as I was able to freshman year, but I think this season was really special just because we always fought until the end. We didn't do as well in like regular season. We barely made it to the tournament. And then at the tournament, we really um, gave it all, and um, we knocked out South Alabama, those champions for like 8 years in a row in semifinal. We beat them in after the game PKs, and I scored one of them, so that felt really special because everybody was better than them winning year after year because they did 8 times in a row, I think. And in the final, we played another team that's new to the conference, which is James Madison University, another Virginia team. And we played them a spring before that, and it was a tough game, and we got beat. So we were like, okay, in the conference, we have to get them back. And we played them in the finals, and it was just a crazy game. One of our strikers scored 3 goals, and we beat them 3-4 in overtimes with one of our freshman defenders scoring a crazy goal. So it felt really, really special. And even though I wasn't doing as well individually as I would like that season, I was really proud for the team. It felt even more special than the first year, I think. Yeah, so that felt really cool just to go to a new conference and beat a whole new bunch of teams and still winning the championship. And then we go to NCAA tournament and play number 2 ranked North Carolina. So that was fun again. But yeah, so that was really cool.
You're playing good teams, good exposure. I mean, you can't really ask for
Yeah.
more. Then this is where I think you are. I won't speak for you, but this whirlwind next couple of months for you. I think you get. I think you believe you make your cap for the Ukrainian national team. I believe you go to the 2022 European qualifiers, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken, and then you then the war breaks out And that's an entire thing you have to handle, where they first invade around that time. Um, a couple months later, and then after that is when your ACL injury happens. So I want to start with one on the high of you making your debut and getting capped for the national team with the European qualifiers. Speak to me about that opportunity, how it came about, because I mean, playing for your national team has got to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing that's ever happened to anybody if they're in your professional soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I've always played for youth national teams, and during COVID, I actually did make my debut for a first team, but it was with like 10 players missing, and I really like wasn't supposed to be there. I was only 17, and I only played like 15 minutes. But then at that time, I knew that I was ready to actually represent my country with all of the players being there, and it was really, really special. I've always dreamed about that moment. I feel like the first time I did it, it didn't feel as deserved, I feel like. But then this time it was really, really cool, and like I was all happy. And I remember just coming back from America, just waiting for my mom to wake up just to talk to her before I get on the plane to Norfolk from DC. And I just checked my phone, and I mean, that's the time when everything like kind of changed, or like wasn't as it wasn't a really happy ending for me. I just saw all of the news and I couldn't really believe that. So it happened right after the camp. So
Yeah, such a bittersweet moment. You get to like the high of playing at a European qualifier for your country, and then immediately there's this major low that really can't be described. As much as I'm saying it can't be described, how was it that I know that you heard about it almost before your family because you were awake and traveling back to Old Dominion. Just speak to me about when you saw what was going on, and then talking that next conversation with your family about what you knew that they almost didn't know.
yeah, I mean it was like 9 or 10 p.m. and I was about to get on my plane to Norfolk from DC, as I said, and I just saw all of the news and I saw that Kiev was like the first city where like I guess anything happened, and Kiev's only like 3 hours, 3.5 hours away from me, from my city back home, and my parents were asleep, and I just called my mom, and I was like, "Hey, like, what's going on with you guys?" She's like, "What do you mean? It's 5 a.m. I'm asleep. I was about to get up and go to work in like an hour and a half." I was like, "Well, I think you should get up and just check the news," and it was a shock for all of us, and since then I really felt like I couldn't go back to school just because I knew that all my loved ones were back home, and at that time I obviously didn't know how it was going to go and like how much my family was going to be affected by it. So I just really had a tough time kind of living my life in America, just because anytime any chance I get, I would just see the news or like check the news and like wake up in the middle of the night and text my family and see if they were okay. So I think it was definitely probably one of the hardest periods of my life. Yeah, it was not easy, and I mean, even though it did get easier with time, it's still pretty tough.
Yeah, I can imagine that like self conflict of like you being at school, and there's not obviously that happening, and well, your family's over there. I can imagine how hard that can be, and just so then obviously you move from one kind of a really bad moment that has continued to another one, and that one is kind of in the U.S. where you get this really bad ACL injury, and the team right before that 2023 season, and your team goes on to win back to back Sun Belt championships, but you're not able to participate in it, which definitely has to be painfully emotional, just as much as it's physically painful. And I know you did more, but just speak to me about that injury, and kind of not being able to play a role as much on the field wise, because I know you did other things off the field.
Yeah, I mean, so the wars are in the 2022, and then I had obviously that end of the 22 season. We won the conference, and I was like, okay, finally, like life's sort of getting better. And then in the spring, I was like, all right, like now it's the time for me to get better, get ready for 2023 season. It's gonna be great. And then it was one of our like honestly last practices before we were supposed to start a game, like spring game. So it was beginning of April. Um, it was April 5th, honestly. It was 2 days before my birthday. We just had scrimmage at practice, and I was just turning with the ball and just hurt my knee buckle up. And yeah, it didn't feel good, obviously. And I genuinely thought that it wasn't that serious. I just thought something because I told you I was injured my first semester in the US. So it was something with my knee. Just my kneecap like moved a little bit, but it wasn't as serious. And I honestly
Mhm.
thought it was the same thing. So I was like, oh, okay, like the worst case scenario, I'll be out for a few weeks. Like I'll be ready to play in the summer, which I already agreed to play in Asheville City again, and I'll be ready for the season. But then obviously I went the day when it happened, I went and got my MRI and actually tore my ACL, both my meniscus and my MCL. So I was like, well, yeah, it really felt like everything in my life at that time was kind of going wrong, just like coming off from not the best season, the war started in my country, and then tearing my ACL. So I knew that I was going to have to kind of change my mindset and I'll have to play a different role in the team. So that's all I tried to focus on. And yeah.
Yeah, and so I know you did the scouting for almost all the opponents for your team, which your coach very much praised you about. And then I know you also worked with the Monarch Sisters, which is a program for the women that are part of the Old Dominion program. Just speak to me about those two roles that you played and in general what you learned about yourself through the injury, through not playing, through playing a different role on the team. What did you learn about yourself and ideas that you took forward now that you're going to take forward for the rest of your life?
Yeah, so when that happened, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go do my rehab and like kind of run through the motion right when I come, like until I come back. But I think I just kind of took a moment and just like listened to myself and was like, if that's gonna last for almost a year, I might as well be the best teammate I can be. If I can be on the field, I want my teammates to be the best on the field. So I was just thinking about ways I can make that happen. Obviously, I was supporting them during practices and games and giving younger guys advices. And um I just spoke to coaches and was like, hey, I really want to be helpful. Is there like anything I can do to make the team better or like to help the girls? And my coach Angie Hind was like, hey, like you do such a great job every time we do like team analysis because we do it a lot before every game with players. And I've always been good at like identifying like team shapes and like strength and weaknesses of the teams. And she was like, why don't you just use that to help us? And basically she let me do like initial reports for each teams where I would have to watch a few games from the teams we would play, identify like their shapes, their like strength, weaknesses, the style of play, key players. So I did that for the whole season. Um, I basically prepared that for coaches to look more in depth, and obviously I help my teammates just by knowing how the teams play. And I thought that really made me realize that you can be as important for the team off the field as you are on the field,
Mm.
and really helped me through my recovery because I was like, well, like I'm a huge part of the team already. If I can come back and be also part of the team on the field, it's going to make me even more important for the girls. So it really taught me that really no matter what role in the team you have, you do have a role, and even if you can't be on the field, you can really impact the rest and like make your team better without physically doing that.
Mm.
So yeah, and then we went to the tournament and I was the best cheerleader I could be on the sidelines. And with like having other girls injured with me, I think we made this group that would support others so much. And yeah, we were able to win the championship again. And it honestly was, it felt so special in a way that I felt like I did so much without really doing much. So I felt really, really proud for everybody. And during my recovery, obviously, I I've always had this like fight with myself because I really thought that I wasn't as good like mentally, or like mental game really affected me on the field. But I think during my rehab, I learned that I'm so much stronger than I actually am. So when I was coming back from injury, I obviously went through a lot of ups, but even more downs. So I really learned that I can do so much more than I thought I would be able to. And just coming back, like fitness wise, and like getting strength back, being confident in the field, I've done so much better than I thought I would. And I think I came back fitter than I ever been. What's always been my like one of my weaknesses. I'm not the fittest person like outside of the field. Like I'm not a fan of running, but just coming from ACL, like ever since I haven't really failed a run or a fitness test. So that really gave me so much confidence on the field. And once I was back, I really didn't think about it twice. I was ready to play just because I knew how much work I did for it. So I never really had like fear or like, oh, I'm never going to be as good as I was before, just because I knew that I worked so hard for it.
Yeah, no, I mean that was almost like slightly almost emotional to hear, like how much you learned about yourself and how good. I think it's good that everybody. I think it's good for self reflection, and as much as it's not a moment that you wanted to get injured, you gain so much kind of from it, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
And
Yeah, because I think I took season 22 like for granted. As I said, I didn't have best individually season, but I think just coming back from injury would be like, okay, like you can really bet on the next season as much. So that was another thing I really learned about myself. So from now on, I just take like even practices with so much gratitude and stuff. So yeah, it really helped me.
it's important to take every single day as like it could be your last, or like it's very much that important, which it is. And I mean, you did all those things that you talked about, which coming back fit, which is funny because I know people are going to watch this and say it's ironic that a Division I women's soccer player says she's not fit. But I understand what you. I definitely understand. But I understand what
I
you mean.
was fit. I just never could really do it mentally. It was a really, really big thing for me just getting over like over those all of those reps. I think I could do it physically. It was just always my mentality that wasn't good enough prior injury, but just like coming back from ACL really taught me that if I'm telling myself I can't do it, I obviously can do more than I think. So
No, no,
yeah.
for sure. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I understood that. Um,
Yeah.
and again, as you said, you showed up for 2024, and that's exactly what we saw. I mean, you 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 came back in, integrated yourself back into the team, starting 14 out of 20 games, which is amazing coming back from an ACL injury. You got that big game-winning goal against VCU. I mean, just speak to me about you. I mean, you already explained it, but like when you really stepped back on the field for that season, speak to me about how excited, how determined you were, like just playing wise. What was the difference in how you were really getting around the field at that point now, as you've already alluded
Yeah,
to?
obviously it was I was obviously so happy to be back, and like it was actual season because I got to play in like one or two spring games, but obviously didn't feel as special. And
Mhm.
once I like stepped on the field in the first game, I was just like so grateful to be there, and I really felt like the hard work paid off. And it's actually the game when I scored a goal against VCU, which is crazy. And then kind of switched like formations on the field, so I was more like a wing back, which is a little lower on the field than I would usually be, and I thought that really helped me being better teammate in a way. I think I like played a lot more like with my teammates, more combinations, and I really realized how much I miss soccer in that season. So just like being there made me so happy. And like obviously I started both games, but even games when I didn't or didn't play as much or didn't do as well, I just remembered how unfortunate I felt a year ago when I couldn't even be there. Like so I always took every game or like every mistake or a bad game as like, hi, like at least you're here. And like you could have been injured right now and like you wouldn't get the chance to be on the field. So it felt really good to be back. And yeah, I was just like so excited to be there. And obviously our season got cut shorter than we would want. We lost in semifinal of conference tournament, but we still had a 10 wins in the season, which is still a very good season. And not a lot of Division 1 programs can say that they had 10 wins. So I was just grateful to be back, and I think it really made me more excited for next year, and just like having the opportunity to have this extra year for my ACL year just made me really, really excited and ready to bounce back by winning this year, hopefully.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I want to take a pause from soccer and go back into more life stuff, and then we'll go back to soccer. So I want to say that you graduated with your bachelor's degree in that winter of 2024, correct?
Yes, I graduated in December of
Got
2024.
it. Yeah, yeah, in December. Um, Speak to me. I know this is also a big part of your life that your parents, um, Victor, and I don't want to butcher your mother's name, so if you want to say it,
Irena?
Irina, um,
Yes.
are both first responders in Ukraine during the time of this war, and they weren't able to see this wonderful achievement for that their daughter has made, which I know must have been extremely hard for them and extremely hard for you. Um, just speak to me about that. And then I even know you went back around that time to with around Christmas to go see them, and you met your brother in Poland and had this 20-hour train ride, which I can't imagine being on a 20-hour train ride all the way back to your hometown and Ukraine. Just speak to me about that moment and them not being to be there and them still at home.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the reason why I came to the US in the first place, because one of the reasons, just because my parents wanted me to have education, and just me graduating in another country, like by taking all of the classes in my second language is obviously a huge thing, and they were so proud of me. And I think me and them, all they wanted to is to be with me on that day, and they come would have came if they had an opportunity, but just their work. Obviously, my mom is a doctor, and my dad is a firefighter, which doesn't let them leave the country for a long time, or my dad can't leave at all. But yeah, so it really felt like I missed them at that moment because I just wanted to share that with them. But I know that it felt even worse for them. I think they were more upset than I was. And just knowing that I was trying to be strong for them, and just planning the trip back home was like, hey, I'm going to come back home. We can celebrate all together. And yeah, so I really wanted to go back, and I did. And we got to celebrate. So that was nice. But obviously, I wish my parents could be at my college graduation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
yeah, no, and that's a tremendous achievement. I know that you're fortunately enough where you are from in Ukraine wasn't directly hit as much as other parts of the Ukraine. But just speak to me about when you went back, if there's any things that were anything obviously from the war that was strikingly different to you. Maybe it's not mass destruction in your hometown, but maybe the morale of the people, and just what almost what did you see, and what was this difference maybe that since the war had started?
yeah, I was able to go back. Well, first of all, I I was able to just fly to Kiev from America, and just the whole trip back home is like makes you realize, hey, like this is crazy. Like you can't just go back home. And so that was a long trip. I had to fly to Poland, but I was able to see my brother, which you already mentioned. That was really nice. My brother, his wife, and my niece, who was at the time 1 year old. So that was really, really nice. And yeah, I just and then from Pole is 20 hours by trains with like layovers and stuff, which was crazy. But then just coming home like really felt really, really nice just to be able to hug my parents without seeing them for a whole year. Um, yeah, and I just I'm not I would just go home once a year post war, so I was not very used to like all the safety alerts and like all of the like drills and all that stuff. So it really like scared me every time, but just like seeing how people react just like oh like another like as like there's danger alerts, like just be alert in the city, which like means that there's like a possibility of city being in danger. And it happens a lot in like every city just because air defense is able to like see or predict like like possible attacks. So that's where they give like an alert. So I just like this really, really this is a loud sound, the whole city, and you can hear it from anywhere. And just like hearing this and like just seeing people just do their own thing just like scared me so much just how normalized it was back home just because the war was going on at a time for um over 2 years. So yeah, it really scared me, but yeah, I never really felt completely safe if I'm being honest, even though my city, as you said, never been actually just one time been directly hit, but it was still very, very hard to get used to, and I never did. So it was just scary. But then I went to see one of my best friends in Odessa, which is a city down north and a little bit to the east. So actually, that city's actually been affected so much more than my city, and just seeing all of the destroyed buildings and all the like size of the war just really hit you differently just because you're so used to like oh like my family's fine, it doesn't really affect me as much, but seeing this really made me realize how bad it was, even though like I see so much stuff online and everywhere, like it really is different when you see it in person. So yeah, but I was fortunate enough to be there with my family, and that's all that mattered to me. So
No, that's important. What were I? You don't have to go so deep into it, but what were some of those like safety measures? I know there's obviously probably like the sirens, as you said, or the noise, but like, was there like anything physical? Like, did people have to move, or did they say like go underneath a building or something? So if anything does happen,
mhm. Yeah, obviously, as you said, like sirens would just like tell you that there is a possible danger, and everybody's supposed to go to the shelter, which like underground building, not buildings, just underground like areas where you would have to stay until the another siren goes on, just saying that it's safe. So it would just happen a few times a day for like 30 minutes to a few hours. So and just people would just go about their day, and then they would hear a siren, would have to go to shelters underground and just spend there like an hour and then just go back and live their normal life. So that's something I really couldn't get used to, but it seemed so normal to everybody, and that's what made me really, really sad. And like, I don't know, I just don't think anybody
live like that.
should think it's normal. Yeah, I know,
Wow.
but yeah. So that was like one of the things, and obviously like since air defense is located kind of close to my city, but just like them being able to like give an idea to people of what was going on. So if it was just like a military training, there would still be sirens, but they would be like, oh hey, that's like it's not dangerous. There's still a siren, but people would be like, okay, like I know that nothing's gonna happen at that time. But then if there was actually dangerous, they would just be like, hey, like better stay in shelters and like
So some
yeah.
people,
So
so some people like the sirens would go off, and some people just wouldn't even go to the bunker. They're just like, we're just like,
yeah, no, some people would just go about their day, and which like the scariest part, and I think a part of obviously none of the damage is because of people who live there, but I think some of the damage or like loss of people could have been really decreased by people actually caring. But I think just because it's been going on for almost 3 years, people like so tired of this and like tired of living in the fear and just don't always followed the rules, which was not good. But yeah, some people wouldn't really do that. But yeah.
Wow. And lastly, just touching on that, I know at one point your dad, um, as a firefighter, went to Poltava.
Poltava, yes.
Yeah, and that was more the front lines. How was that for you and the rest of your family, knowing that he was going there?
Yeah, actually, well, that happened last year, and it was obviously so scary, but just knowing that he was going there to do his job, and it was only because, like, obviously, like, because of the attacks and stuff in the fall, a lot of forests would get caught in fire and stuff. So, him and his, like, coworkers would just have to help local firefighters to like fight fires in like wild forests and stuff like that. But just him being there, like, kind of gave me that feeling that I had in the beginning of the war, just like not knowing if he was safe or not. And yeah, it was really, really difficult, but luckily he was able to just be there without like any obviously consequences and just came back in a few weeks. But he actually went to another city, which is Sumy, which is like Sumy. It's like on the border with Russia, and I think it was a lot scarier for me this time. He just came back actually like a week ago, but
Wow.
he was there for a month and a half, and that's when like I was in Asheville city, and Asheville still like playing for city, and yeah, it was really, really scary because you couldn't really like I couldn't really talk to him as much just because of the like data issues over there, and he actually had to do some work with like helping like to fight fires in like public buildings and stuff like that. And just because that city is like literally on the border with Russia, that was like the scariest moment for me since the day the war started, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but he's back home now, and he's good. So, yeah, but it was really, really hard, and I really don't know how like people who have relatives like dads and like husbands and sons and like actual war and like not as just firefighters. I
Mm.
really cannot imagine how that feels just because I felt horrible just him being there and really affected me mentally.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad he got safely from both of those trips. Um,
Thank
back
you.
to back to hopefully a lighter note and more soccer. So you're now obviously, because you have that red shirt year, you have that extra year of eligibility, or that other year of eligibility from your red shirt year, heading into your now senior year. You just started preseason yesterday. Speak to me about your goals, ambitions, how the team looks, and what you guys are all hoping for and looking forward to heading into your final season there at Old Dominion.
Yeah, it's really crazy because it just feels like I just got to America and now I'm about to take my fifth and a half year, I guess. So yeah, it feels kind of crazy. I just completed my last 300 test ever, and I mean, I'm just so excited to get started the games and to really get to play a lot just because I had a really, really good summer in Asheville and I scored some goals. I had assists. We obviously had an incredible season. So I feel really, really confident right now and I feel ready to play. So I'm just ready to get out there. And I think me, as much as the rest of my teammates, just want to bounce back from the year before, just because our season ended in semifinal of conference. I think our ultimate goal is to get back to winning championships. So obviously our goal is to win Sunbelt again and get to NCAA tournament and hopefully make it through the first round for the first time in all of the times we already tried. So yeah, it'll be ultimate goal. But for right now, I'm really just focusing on tomorrow's fitness test and then the first game that we have on Wednesday, actually next week. That's our first exhibition game, so it comes really, really fast. But yeah, I think I'm really ready. I feel confident and I feel excited. And I think the team looks very good right now. Everybody's pumped up to get started. And it really feels like we have all the quality and team chemistry to do well and to win another championship, the fourth in 5 years. So
that would be amazing. You know, one thing I actually wanted to touch on quickly because I saw it. Speak to me about your adjustment to American culture, being down there in Virginia, being down south. I saw you like country music now. I think it's not something that I appreciated either, but then I ended up going to school in upstate New York, as I said it. I got the rural New York lifestyle, so now I appreciate like country, and I went and visited Knoxville, Tennessee. I have a friend that goes to school down there, but speak to me about all of that and kind of American culture and how you've grown into it and then appreciate it and all those other things and music and stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, I would never stay in America for my fifth year if I didn't like it. I think I just got used to it so quick, and it really feels so special. And like, obviously, like I love Ukrainian culture, and it will always be my favorite. But I just love how like America has so many different states and like so many different like traditions and cultures. But just being kind of down south, like I really started appreciating like country music and like all of the traditions for like Memorial Day, for 4th of July, and just like how people's mentality is. Like, I mean, like in Eastern Europe, you won't see many people walking around and saying, "Hi, how are you? And how was your day?" Like, unless you're really, really close to them. So that was definitely like a switch up for me, just like how welcoming and happy
Southern
people are all the time.
hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I really, really like that. I think it suits me because I mean, might not seem by the way I like talk. Obviously, I'm not as emotional as most American girls, but I definitely changed in a way. I think I got more like open and more happy all the time, which is a great thing. I really, really like that. And I do love country music. It's probably my favorite kind of music now, which is kind of crazy because anytime I bring country to any of my friends back home, they like what even is that? Like, but like also Americans who don't like country that just be looking at me like, why do you know every single like word to Luke Bryan song? There's no way you should be knowing that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy that for sure, and I like little cookouts. I like American food, so
Okay, so
yeah.
now you got to give me. So, what is your favorite? Who is your favorite country artist? And then, what would you say is your favorite American food?
I love Chris Stapleton. Um, I do enjoy Sam Barber as a newer artist, but he's really, really good, and obviously Lainey Wilson. So yeah, um, yeah, and American food, I'd say like probably fried chicken, or like I do like Thanksgiving food like ham, turkey.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow.
that's definitely some of my favorites. And yeah, and I went to Nashville actually with some of my friends for spring break like 2 years ago. I had a blast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very nice city, very vibrant city. A lot of music, a lot of country music going on.
a lot of
Nashville.
fun. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't gone yet, but it's on my bucket list to go very soon.
Yeah,
Um,
it's worth it.
yeah, no, I hope so. I'm like dying to go. I'm dying to go. Um, Speaking about your next steps post. So we talked about the season and what's coming up, but what's post college is not that far away for you. And I know you're in your master's program now, but what are your do you have a is your are you thinking about your future in playing post college, or do you have are coaching post college? I know coaching is something that definitely came up that year that you tore your ACL and your other ligaments in your knee, and that was an idea that came up for you that you can also do and you're passionate about. What post college are you looking at for the next couple of years for yourself?
Yeah, definitely always wanted to coach, so I think it will happen in the future. Just like having so much fun this summer playing soccer, it really made me think if I would like to continue my soccer career, which ideally I would love to try out and try to play in America, maybe in the Super League or obviously like NW said, it's a dream, but if I could play in Super League for a year or two, it would be perfect. And if not that, then I would consider going overseas back to Europe, just play a little bit and some of the European championships and
Mm.
then pursue a coaching career. But obviously, I still have a full season, and if it goes well, I would love to play more. I'm only 22, and I'll have master's degrees by next year, and I still have a lot of time to have a career. So I think that's what I would like to do. Yeah, I think I would like to play for a few years and then get into coaching more, which I really, really enjoy. Like as you said this year, with like ACL, I really saw a different side of coaching that I really liked. So yeah, I would love to try to do both at one point of my life, but if it doesn't work out with playing career, I would definitely try to get into coaching right away after college and just do some great things as a coach as well.
Yeah, no, that's really, really nice. And I really don't have much else for you. This has been great. And I'm really happy I was able to speak to you. Do you have anything else you want to say just in general about yourself or in general, how you feel about anything?
No, I'm just really excited to share my story, and I think it's gonna be different for a lot of people to hear, and hopefully for some international student athletes, it will be things that they could learn. And I'm just really grateful to be here, and thank you for taking your time and really listening to my stories. Now I can talk a lot sometimes, but hopefully hopefully it'll be interesting for some people. So yeah, I just really appreciate that.
No, talking a lot is exactly what we want. So I think you talked a perfect amount. It's a you have a good, as you just good story. International students can take a lot from it, and definitely even with the war going on, it's a unique take that not a lot of people can give, and a lot of people want to hear about. So I think it was great, and I appreciate you for taking the time to speak to me.
Mhm. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one. Good luck in the rest of preseason and heading into season and for you guys for the rest of the season. Hopefully,
Yes, follow OD, everyone. We're gonna do
yeah,
some great things this season.
we will all be keeping eyes on ODU for sure.